Hi guys! Today I'm very excited to finally share with you the finale of my Project Pan speedrun. So this was a very short-term Project Pan, just from June through the end of July, and my goal was to finish up as many items as I could, both makeup and non-makeup beauty products, before we moved. We did make it to Philadelphia. We are here in our new apartment now, so I'm going to be sharing with you how I did on all of these products, and I have to say I think I did really well. In the frenzy of moving, I unfortunately did not have time to film this finale before we left, but I did take clips of every product and where I ended up for each product, so you'll still be able to see my progress on everything. I'll also share the number of uses on each product and how many things I ended up actually finishing in this project. I will go ahead and link below the intro and the update to this project if you missed either of those and you want to catch up. I originally started this project with 26 items that I wanted to try to finish. By the halfway update, I had used up 7 of those original 26 items. I also removed 3 of those things from the project. One was a declutter, the LA Girl liquid glitter, and the other 2 were both eyeshadows from my ABH Norvina palette. I didn't declutter that Norvina palette, but I just took those 2 shadows out of the project because I realized they didn't really make sense in this project. Also in that halfway update, I added 7 new items into the project to try to finish, just to keep the ball rolling. And since that halfway update, I used up 13 more of the items. So in total, in this Project Pan, I've used up 20 things. 20 out of, if we count up all the things that I originally started with, plus the 7 that I added, I had 33 products in this project. Out of those, I used up 20 of them. 20 products. That's a lot of products to use up in 6 or 7 weeks. Really proud of all the empties. If you saw my last empties video, which was huge, I think there were 62 items in that empties video, that did not include the 20 things I finished in this project. Just because I didn't want things to get too redundant, so I decided to save those empties for this video. So let me go ahead and share with you how I did on each product that was remaining in the project after that halfway update. There were some products that I did not quite finish, but I came pretty close. And I had decided at the very beginning of this Project Pan that none of the products in this project would come with me to Philly. So even the things that I didn't finish, they ended up getting decluttered. But I'm happy to say that for most of those things, I still did come very close to finishing them. So first was the LYS Triple Fix foundation. I ended up using this foundation 8 more times since my halfway update, which was not nearly as many as I used it in the first half of the project. I used it 24 times before that first update and only 8 times since then. And one thing I guess I didn't really think about was that in the second half of this project, I was not wearing as much makeup as I was wearing in the first half of the project. So my uses were a little bit lower on a lot of these things in the second half of the project versus the first half. So from the beginning of this project, I got a total of 32 uses out of this foundation. I unfortunately didn't finish it, and I'm so bummed because I came so close. I would have loved the satisfaction of completely emptying this bottle, but you'll see in the progress clip, I made it about between my second line and the end, I made it about halfway down. So there was really just like a tiny little bit left at the bottom that I didn't get to, but I'm really happy with the amount of use I got out of this foundation. I still feel like I definitely got my money's worth, but yeah, that one I just could not quite finish it. However, I did finish the NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop powder. This powder I also only used 8 additional times since the last update. So in total in this project, I used it 32 times to get from where we started to the very end. And actually this powder came into my collection this year. So it's actually one of the first products I'm able to share the total number of uses I got out of it from start to finish. So not just in this Project Pan, but even since before then, I got a total of only 67 uses out of this powder. It took me 34 uses to hit pan. Definitely doesn't seem like a great bang for your buck, but I really loved this powder. Like, I would consider repurchasing it. Next thing I didn't finish all the way, I actually still had a fair bit of product left, was the Oma Beauty highlight stick. Since the last update, I got 16 more uses out of this highlight. I was using it a lot on the body in the second half of this project. I really wish I had just started doing that sooner, but I got 16 more uses out of it, and I did make another good chunk of progress since the first update. In total, in this Project Pan, I got 34 uses out of this highlight stick. Again, I'm bummed that I didn't get to finish this all the way, but I also feel like I got a ton of use out of it, and I did use up the contour side of this But either way, I'm kind of happy to have this product out of my life because I had it for a very long time. Then there was the e.l.f. Rose Gold Shadow Stick. I also did not finish this all the way. I know if I had just had like 2 more weeks, I could have finished this completely, but I ended up getting 9 additional uses out of this since the update. In total in the project, I got 28 uses out of it, so lots of use. I would say for the amount of time I worked on this, I still got a lot of progress, but I'm just so bummed that I couldn't finish it all the way. One thing I did finish was the Kokie lip liner in Nude. This one I actually mainly did use on my lips though. I didn't end up using it a ton as a blush, although at the very end I was using this all over the face because I was like, let's get this done. So I got 8 additional uses out of this lip liner since that update. And since the start of the project, I got a total of 22 uses out of this lip liner. Very happy to have that done. The e.l.f. Coral Cutie lip stain, I also didn't quite finish this one, but I got so much use out of this lip stain. Since the first update, I used it 18 more times. So in total in the project pan, I used it 31 times. I used it a lot as a blush, as well as a lip stain. I was seeing really steady progress on this. I actually did take the stopper out before that first update because I was not able to pick up anything else on the doe foot. There was still quite a bit of product left though, but you can actually see exactly where the product ended up. I ended up about halfway through that little window in there, and I think the end of that window is pretty much where the product ends. So I had a little bit left. Again, I feel like if I had had 2 more weeks, I could have knocked this one out easily. But either way, I'm still really happy with the amount of progress I got on this. This is another product I'd had in my collection for a long time, and I just was glad to get as much use out of it as I did. Thank goodness I finished the Kopari Lip Glossy in Birthday Suit. I actually finished 2 Kopari lip glossies in this project. The first one I finished before the first update. That was the shade Sunset Kiss. And then I also finished up Birthday Suit right at the tail end. For both of the Kopari lip glossies, I ended up just calling them done when I couldn't squeeze any more product out. I decided not to cut them open because I actually did that a long time ago when I used up the clear lip glossy, and it was just so messy. I mean, if you know, it's a very kind of like a lip oil kind of texture, so it's just an oily mess when you cut it open. So I decided not to go to the trouble of that, but I used this lip glossy so much. Just this year alone, I've used it so much. I can't believe, like, I was almost done with it, or thought I was almost done with it at the start of this year. Boy, was I wrong. Since the first update, I used it 38 additional times, which puts me at a total of 80 uses in this project alone. And that's not even close to the total number of uses I got out of this. Just this year alone, I used it 121 times. But before that, I also had used it a ton. So I would have to estimate I probably got a total of 220 uses out of this lip gloss, maybe even more than that, since I opened it 5 years ago. Another thing I didn't quite finish, but I was totally ready to let it go when we moved. If nothing else, I learned that I just do not need to have a black pencil liner in my collection, at least not at this stage of my makeup journey, because I don't like the way it looks on my eyes. I really prefer brown liner, brown mascara. I like black mascara too, but black eyeliner is just so harsh on my eyes. But I still managed to use it a fair number of times. I mainly was using it to tightline my upper lash line, which unfortunately just does not result in huge chunks of progress, but I still did manage to make some good progress on this. So since the first update, I used it 7 additional times, putting me at a total of 18 uses in this project. By the end, this was a very short eyeliner stick. It definitely got very small. I'm sure I could have gotten, you know, at least 18 more uses out of it if I had kept going, but I was honestly ready to be done with that product. So those are all the makeup items that were in the project since the beginning. There were 4 more makeup products that I added in at the halfway update. So let's talk about those now. Some of these I am looking back like, what was I thinking? I was way too optimistic on a couple of these things, but one of them was a huge success. The Supergoop Glow Screen, I had just like the deluxe sample of this, so it wasn't hard to finish at all. If you know me, you know I can fly through sunscreen. I had already used this a little bit prior to putting it in the project, but you'll see from that purple mark, it took me 8 uses to finish it. And this is actually a product that I have been tracking uses on since I opened it, so I can also tell you that I ended up getting a total of 13 uses out of this deluxe sample. The Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder, I'm still glad that I added this into the project because like I said, I did finish that NYX powder, so it gave me another powder to focus on. I did not end up finishing it though, but I did get some good progress on it. I used it 5 times since I rolled it into the project, and I did expand the pan quite a bit. I was getting pretty close to the point of needing to repress it. That's another one where I think if I had had just a couple more weeks, I definitely could have finished it. The NYX face glue, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know how I thought I could finish this because it was almost full when I rolled it in halfway through the project. I used it 8 times, so I did make a little bit of progress, as you'll see, but not very much. So yeah, at least I tried. The Urban Decay Stay Naked Concealer I also rolled in that update, and I got 8 uses out of this one as well. There was no way I was gonna finish this. I mean, maybe if I had used it like every single day, I could have possibly used it up, but I'm just happy to have gotten 8 more uses out of it. I did decide to declutter it, just like all of these things. So those are all the makeup products. Now let's talk about the skincare, body care, and hair care things that I was working on. I was very successful with almost all of these things. Like I said in the first update, I've only been tracking uses on makeup items, so I don't have usage numbers to share for any of the non-makeup things, but regardless, I ended up using up most of these, which I'm so excited about. So the Face Republic Purity Sun Essence, this was a water-resistant Korean sunscreen. I used that up no problem. There was only a little bit left, but yeah, that one I knocked out quickly. The Sun Killer SPF 50 sunscreen, this one we also finished. I have to thank Nathan for helping me use this one up. He actually really loved this sunscreen. Also finished up the Goodall Calming Cooling Sun Stick. This was so handy to have in my purse and in my pool bag. We'd had several pool days before we left, which was so fun. But this was a great thing to have for reapplication, and it was also amazing because it actually does have a bit of a cooling property to it that feels so refreshing in the heat of summer. Highly recommend this sun stick if you like something a little bit more hydrating, but not like, it's not too heavy or greasy. If you missed it, I did recently post a sunscreen stick showdown. I tried 9 different Korean and Japanese sunscreen sticks. And so if you're curious about sun sticks at all, I'll leave that video linked below. But the Goodall sun stick, I would have to say it was one of my top favorites in that video. So happy to have it finished though, because it actually expired the beginning of August, so I needed to finish it up anyway. And I'm so happy to have finished it because it was a great product. I really miss it. But that being said, I have a lot more sunscreen sticks to finish up now. So hopefully one day I can repurchase it, but not until I use up some more stuff. Ugh, the Vanny Cream Moisturizing Cream. I am sad to say I couldn't finish it, you guys. And I could have finished it if I had just put it on my body one more time, but I hated the formula of this. That moisturizer is so heavy, so thick. I believe the second ingredient is petrolatum. It doesn't necessarily feel like petroleum jelly. Like it has the look and the feel of just a thick cream. But once you start rubbing it in, you can really feel like, whoa, this is so thick, so thick. I will say, if I'm ever suffering from like the most extremely dry skin of my life, maybe this would be the moisturizer for me. But any other time, I cannot. It is so, so thick, and it feels like you're wearing like plastic on your body. I don't even know how to describe it. So you'll see in the final clip, I got very close to the end and then I gave up. Sometimes it's just not worth putting yourself through torture if you hate a product. So I can't count it as an empty, but I gave it my all, let me tell you. The Garnier Volume Hairspray, this one I also did not finish. I think I was close to finishing it. Again, you can't really gauge your progress on this type of aerosol can, but you know, it was starting to feel like it was running low, so I'll say that, but yeah, that one I didn't quite finish. But in all fairness, I think this is like a $4 or $5 hairspray, very inexpensive, so I'm not too upset about not finishing it completely. Either way, glad to have gotten some use out of it. Everything else from here on out is finished, is empty. So let's keep going. These are all exciting updates. We're ending on a high note. The EOS Pink Champagne Body Lotion, this was an easy one to finish. I mean, let's be honest, it was really a gimme product. I was just I was adding in some easy stuff to just keep my spirits up. And the EOS lotion, I finished it up. I scraped every last little bit of it out with a beauty spatula. So I know some people cut theirs open because these bottles are notoriously difficult to use up. The pump stops working when you're like 2/3 of the way down, so annoying. But for me, I was able to just kind of scrape it out with the actual like pump. And then I used my big beauty spatula to get the rest out. So that one is done. The Soap & Glory Perfect Zen Calming Bath Milk. I know you're all on the edge of your seats wondering, Sarah, did you end up taking 4 to 5 more baths like you said you would need to finish this up? No, I did not. I didn't end up taking a single bath. However, I don't know why it took me this long to realize this, but you can also use this product as a body wash. So that's how we ended up finishing it. And it was actually delightful as a body wash. I loved the scent of this product so much. I think the scent was like lavender and tonka bean. Something about the combination of lavender and vanilla. I don't usually like lavender on its own, but when it's combined with a vanilla sort of note, ooh, that is such a yummy scent. Yeah, we got about 1 to 2 weeks out from the move and I started to realize I am not gonna have time to sit in the bathtub. Like there's just no way that's happening. So at that point I was like, wait, let's just try it as a body wash, and it ended up working beautifully for that. So I was looking at the ingredients and it has a lot of the same like surfactants that you would find in a body wash, and it does form a lather because it also forms bubbles in a bath. So it ended up working perfectly as a body wash. I actually thought it felt really nice on my skin. So really glad that none of that went to waste. And then the Sol de Janeiro 62 body spray, we also finished this one up. I say we because Nathan helped me finish this as well. I don't think I could have finished it on my own. I mean, I could have, but I would have had to be like dousing myself in this. But let me just say, the Sol de Janeiro body spray has the scent throw and lasting power to me of a lot of perfumes. So if you're looking for a body spray that like actually has a strong scent, try these because I was really impressed. The EOS hand cream, I also finished this one up pretty quickly. I think towards the end there, I was also using it as a body lotion just to get it gone. Love the EOS hand cream. I think the scent was called Fresh and Cozy. And I know they make that scent in their like big body lotion as well. Very nice, inoffensive scent, like just a clean, fresh scent. Really enjoyed it. And I have to say my hands were feeling very soft while I was using that. So I think I will probably repurchase that, especially once we get to the winter when I need a really good hand cream. I will have to keep that one in mind. The Hawaiian Tropic Sheer Touch SPF 50 sunscreen. This is a body sunscreen. I guess you could use it on your face, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. This was a very effective sunscreen. We both used this anytime we were outside at the pool or going hiking. It was perfect. We did not get burned at all while using this, so highly recommend. Ended up repurchasing the SPF 70 version. It's in the same bottle, but it's just SPF 70. And I would have to say, I mean, this SPF 70 I think is, probably even more effective at protecting your skin from the sun, but it is also a lot heavier and it takes a little bit longer to rub in. But yeah, with both of us using that sunscreen, we flew through it pretty quickly. I think it took us just like a couple of pool days to get through that sunscreen because, I don't know about you, when I'm at the pool, there is no such thing as too much sunscreen. And finally, one of the last things I added in at the halfway update was the Clean Reserve Travel Spray of their Skin fragrance. And first of all, this continues to be one of my all-time favorite fragrances. Such a good scent. Yeah, really glad I added this in. It did pain me a little bit to like try to use this up because normally it would be something that I would want to savor. But because I think I was more than halfway done with it, I was like, you know what, this would be a super easy thing to just finish up. And it's also not that dissimilar from another one of my favorite perfumes, which is Penrose Pillow Talk Poet. And that one did come with me on the move. I was not getting rid of that. But because I had something kind of similar to it in a full size, and I was definitely getting to the point where I could use it up within the time frame that I needed to, I was like, let's just go ahead and finish it up. Nathan also helped me finish this one, and yeah, I miss it. But at the same time, it's definitely going on my wish list to buy the full size in the future. So that is the finale to this Project Pan speedrun. This was so much fun. I definitely recommend doing this type of project if you are getting ready to move anytime soon, or if you just want to downsize your collection and you feel like you have a lot of products that are kind of, close to being done. With just a little bit of focus, you could finish them off. I think this is a great way to do that. And the fact that it was such a short-term project made it fun and doable for me. That being said, I am very much looking forward to just using whatever I want now, not having specific products I'm trying to finish, and just enjoying what I have and what I kept after my gigantic declutter. But that is going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed it, I'll leave some videos on the end screen for you to check out next. Otherwise, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye!